Boom shakalaka, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is your boy Chris Shule, aka the esoteric noetic, aka the chocolate Nubian soul brother from Ghana, West Africa, dropping the wisdomatic truth bombs here in the hometown of the New World Order. It is undeniable what is going on down here is clearly the operations, the machinations of an elite group of people that are trying to keep you safe, all right? Be sure to like the video, subscribe, click on the bell, tell your friends, tell your mom, drop us some comments, check us out on Patreon, drop us those cryptocurrencies, yo. I salute everyone, by the way, that has been dropping those cryptocurrencies, those donations. I appreciate you. I really do. You keep my spirits high. It makes me feel that you guys actually appreciate what I do. Or regardless of whether or not you drop the cryptocurrencies. I know you guys enjoy this. I know you need the wisdomatic truth bombs, but thank you guys sincerely. All right, let's get it. Now, all the momos out there, I want to address you that are saying that, look, mate, I don't need to listen to your nonsense, mate. I've done my research. Listen, mate, you are the research. So check this out. I came across a post recently that made reference to a high court ruling in New Zealand about the boom shakalakas. So there's a high court ruling in New Zealand that ruled that the boom shakalaka rollout is illegal. And what's interesting is the very clever lawyer didn't argue any of this human rights. Oh, look, mate, it's a violation of my human rights. None of that stuff. None of this discrimination nonsense. They simply brought it to the fact that the boom shakalakas are in trial phase until 2023. Trial. That means it's experimental, right? The court ruled that medical trials can only be carried out on a select number of people and that by logic, the entire population cannot be considered a select group. Boom shakalaka. And what's interesting is you have a look at fact checkers, because I always bring up the Nuremberg Code anytime I'm making reference to mandatory boom shakalakas, because we learned on the backs of the Second World War that this kind of stuff is an absolute no-no. It is not only illegal, unlawful, but it is utterly immoral. The very basis of morality, like that which violates your rights, that which infringes on the consent of someone. I mean, essentially, unless you have a consent-based system of ethics, you can justify anything. We've realized throughout the understanding of common law, which is supposed to be the natural law written down, these fundamental principles that govern a civilized society, we've realized that it's wrong to force people to do something, right? So the first thing within the Nuremberg Code, the first clause is that consent of the patient, consent of the subject is required. That's the first thing you'll see in the Nuremberg Code. But what these fact checkers are arguing is that it's not a violation of the Nuremberg Code because, one, this is one thing I've heard, it's a public health and safety measure. This amorphous, nonsensical idea that because I'm trying to keep you safe, it's now consensual, right? So it's like me saying, I'm going to rape you, but wait, it's consensual because I've noticed that you've been locked down for a very long time, and it's going to affect your mental health if you don't have some kind of like, physical contact. So I'm doing it to keep you safe so that you don't do something silly like, I don't know, buy into conspiracy theories or jump off a cliff. So I'm going to forcibly rape you. I'm going to have sex with you. But it's not forced because it's for your public health and safety. It's a safety measure. You see the kind of irrational thinking that comes about when you make arguments like that? That it's not a violation of your consent because it's a public health and safety measure. Believe it or not, these are the kind of arguments that you see fact checkers making. Or the other argument they make is that, well, it's not experimental, therefore it's not a violation of the Nuremberg Code. Well, it actually is, And granted, the experimental argument is a bit more subjective because you could say anything is not experimental, right? Right? You could say, hey, some boom shakalaka that has never been implemented in masses before, it's just been rushed. It's not experimental because, we did some tests here and there. And regardless of what the results are, we decided that it's not experimental. It's gotten emergency use approval, so it's not experimental. Of course, you can make that argument, but it still does not move away from the fact that you're forcing this on someone. Let's be very real about this. Everyone knows what is going on here. The only ones that try to pretend that it's justified are those that are either imbeciles, they somehow can't put two and two together in terms of logic, reason, and those that are consciously trying to do something which they know is evil and they're justifying it under this idea that it's a public health and safety measure, which yours truly is not a fan of. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a look at what's going on here in Australia. We are in the thick of things. Welcome to the homeland of the New World Order, mate. Listen, mate, we're doing everything here because we are one and free. We care about everyone's public health and safety. So our Lord and Savior, Daniel Andrews, is implementing the most draconian measure that has ever been implemented. Now, his gang of thugs tried to bring something called the Omnibus Bill a few months back, and that had the same kind of insane legislation that allowed police officers to detain you if they suspected you might be a conspiracy theorist, allow these officers to come into your home and search your premises and so forth under no warrant whatsoever. And that stuff is already going on at the moment, by large, in part. However, this new bill is essentially just putting away this state of emergency, this idea that you have your freedoms until we say that you don't because we deem that it's public health and safety. Same kind of insane logic you find by these fact checkers. But it's only going to be for a temporary amount of time, right? Well, this temporary state of emergency has just been extended. And now we're at a point where they're looking to make this thing permanent. Rather than applying a state of emergency, rather than having to go through this obfuscated legalese system where parliamentary figures can now extend the state of emergency and violate your natural rights, they're looking to make this thing permanent, where every 3 months, essentially the state of emergency gets reviewed by a body of people that have been appointed by the Premier. And yeah, a state of emergency can essentially be called up without any evidence, without any cases, just because some guy in charge feels that is so. So we've moved into outright, utter tyranny. Like, without a doubt, if we were looking at another country and seeing this go on, we'd be going, what? But because it's happening in our country, and because the media is so brilliant at censoring this information, we actually have momos out there, imbeciles. Because look, these aren't insults. I mean, a momo is someone that has an IQ of less than 70, a moron. And an imbecile is someone that has an IQ that makes him incapable of functioning within a society, to any kind of rational level. But this is the kind of people, at least some people, that we're dealing with. I had an imbecile, I mentioned this on a previous video, make the point that he didn't see anything wrong with this stuff, provided this legislation, because one of the clauses was the Premier can essentially go after targeted racial groups, and he made the point, as long as they're not going after my racial group, it's cool. But this is the insanity that we're dealing with. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I digress. Australia is on the verge of the worst totalitarian system, and it's only going to result in people having their bank accounts closed. I mean, check this out. This is what is up on the table at the moment. We're going to have bank accounts, ABN numbers. This is our business number for conducting business. Closed, I would imagine, if you are unclean. I mean, I came across an article recently where a whistleblower spills the beans on what could be a massive blow to those who stand on the side of freedom and choice. That means people that actually have morals. Throughout history, every faction that has been trying to suppress information and trying to force people to do things for their safety has always been on the side of evil. But everyone wants to conveniently forget that. Right, so Services Australia has contracted an IT firm to upgrade its systems to better work with other Australian government bodies, one of which being the Australian Immunisation Registry. So this is the organisation that stores all your records and whether or not you've received the juice, received the boom shakalaka. The work's been carried out include implementation of a system which will allow the Australian government to freeze, that means suspend, or perhaps just completely just phase out, your ABN and text file number of any Australian citizen that is un-boom shakalaka. So you're not going to be allowed to function in society. Not only are you not going to be allowed to go to the stores, which they're already doing, supermarkets, businesses, they're already giving businesses the go-ahead to lock you up. I mean, at the moment, in fairness, I think, at least within Victoria, they're giving businesses the option to discriminate against you, which, I actually, provided it's not forced, I actually don't have a problem with it. I'm just going to shame those businesses, and they'll go out of business. But what's interesting now is now they're willing to shut down your ABN number, your tax file number, your ability to conduct, and I'm fine with that. I mean, hey, no tax, right? Now, the frustrating thing is that this is the trajectory of things. That it's not just a matter of shutting us out. I believe at some point they will literally come after us. And when I say after us, those that believe in, I mean, I'm going to go straight to the heart of this. Those that actually have morals, believe in justice. Because everyone wants to think freedom is this weird, evil thing. No, those that believe in freedom from aggression, violence. Those that want to be able to walk down the street, right? Because this is the thing. Evil people don't tell you that what they're doing is evil. They don't come out with a new bill and say, oh, this is the evil bill. No, they call it a public health and well-being act. They say, oh, look, we're doing this because we want to protect you. We want to keep you safe. We are going to keep you safe. Actually, they probably wouldn't have a scary voice like that. They'd be like, well, my friends, we are going to restrict your freedoms. You will not be able to do anything, but it is in order to keep you safe because we care so much about you. You can trust me because I have a very caring voice, and I speak with a cadence that shows you that I am an educated man, and I could not possibly deceive you. I am trustworthy, even though everything that comes out of my mouth is a lie. No, you'll never hear a villain saying, I am going to kill you slowly. I will make sure that you will break and you will do as I tell you. Now, mate, that shit is not going to run. So this is what we're dealing with. Australian Immunisation Registry contains a list of boom shakalakas that it has determined we must have in order to be safe. It's probably a good idea to get yourself off of this record if you can. I know that there are steps you can take where you can opt not to have this information stored. Because pretty soon, I would imagine, once we hit the 90%, I think we've almost hit that, apparently. I mean, that's what they're telling us. Personally, I am a little skeptical in regards to that figure. I don't think it's there. I mean, the media tends to blow up anything that tends to help their narrative and bring down any information that is going against their narrative, and this is the problem, it's all a spectrum, and we have to be a bit more discerning to understand what is going on. Things are a little gray right now. But look, the point is, you have to become very clever if you're going to avoid falling victim to the bullshit that is going on. You are going to have to start taking steps to look out for yourself. I know a lot of people are making plans to leave the country and so forth. But a friend of mine told me that there is no way to escape this. At some point, this is going to come to your country regardless of where you go. A few years ago, people had thought Melbourne would have been a great place to come to in order to escape the tyranny. But here we are. Here we are, mate. And some other news. Tasmania just lost hundreds of healthcare workers. So these are the people that were at the front line doing the right thing, risking their lives to keep everyone safe. Now, they have all been fired. Well, a lot of them, hundreds of them have been fired because they have been given an ultimatum. And look, let's be real. It's an ultimatum. But the thing is, it's been forced upon them through a government. Not through their businesses, but through the government. Through this public health and safety measure, which is essentially circumventing the Constitution, the actual Constitution, before all of these amendments that were put in place. How insane is that? Imagine having a contract, right? And then someone saying, oh, I don't like this clause, I'm going to change it. Oh, I want to be able to do anything I want to do because it's a public health and safety measure. And then some people being cool with it. And then having a parliamentary system that honors this shit, that honors the unlawful amendments that have been made. And then they have the balls to say it's law. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to realize that just following something because it's the law does not make you a good person. If that is the level of consciousness that you are working under, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Good people break bad laws. Now, this is not an incitement to violence, but this is this is inviting you guys to look a bit more closely at what is right and what is wrong. Have a look at history. Have a look at all the horrible laws that have been brought forth. You find that history is full of the most evil laws been brought forth by government, from witch burning. You are a witch! You have too much knowledge. Your knowledge of herbs and society and this stuff that we do not understand. This science is evil. We will burn you at the stake. Book burning. Oh, off with their heads. They believe in having the freedom of black people. We cannot have this. We shall have to kill you. I'm gonna have to tell you that I respectfully disagree. I think it is my right to have a black man as a slave, a black man, a woman. They are. I mean, I treat my slaves kindly. It says in the law that it is okay for me to do this, therefore it is right. And it says that you must hunt these niggas. Yes, that's right. If the state says so. Otherwise, you will fine $1,000 in the state of West Virginia, and you will be in prison. And I support that. I'm just doing. Look, I don't have any choice. I got to do what I got to do, because I got to obey the law. I got to obey the law. And look, it's no different now. Whether it's kidnapping people and telling them to kill people in different countries, or whether it's urging people to dub people in that are simply living their lives because they happen to be walking in an area that is a public area. Oh, but you haven't received the boom shakalaka. And it's, what is the difference between me and Daniel Andrews, all right, saying that, look, you should take off all your clothes. And unless, of course, you take off all your clothes, I'm going to spank you. Well, I know a lot of you are going to say, well, he's been given power. Who the hell gave this guy power? I didn't vote for this guy, did you? And I sure as hell didn't vote for him having the ability to circumvent my natural right. Let's be very clear about this. What is it that you vote for? Because I know a lot of us, like myself, I'm not a fan of this whole voting thing. But let's get specific about this. If I vote for someone to go in charge and actually defend my rights, okay, my individual rights, and they decide to go off in a completely different direction and suspend my rights and say, yeah, I'm doing it to keep you safe, and safety is your right, because they have an obfuscated understanding of human rights and so forth in the actual law. Now, to say that I'm voting for that just because I voted for that person is insane, right? But this is what we're doing. We're electing people, and then we're saying that whatever they do, we condone because we voted for that. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. And this guy, I don't think the majority of people want him in power right now. I mean, how about having a system where we decide, well, first of all, no one gets to decide on anything if it violates your individual rights. But we have, when it comes to topics outside of human rights, like we actually have a vote on actual topics, like what we do with combined resources that we voluntarily put together. Rather than having some person decide that for ourselves and saying, oh, he's the leader, he gets to decide what he wants to decide. How about we have a vote to decide what we do with that? And it's voluntary. That way, I mean, you can have a democratic system that respects individual rights, that votes on things outside of natural rights. But when you have this system where some guy gets in charge and says, oh, look, I've been voted here, and I'm just trying to keep everyone safe, and does whatever he wants, that's when you get tyranny. Anyway, some other news I wanted to bring up is that Ice Cube has decided to walk away from $9 million. Oh, I gotta love that. One of the things I love about brothers, a lot of the brothers, is that they understand their history. They may not know a lot about, boom shakalakas and whatnot, but they know their history. My people, we know our history, fool. Yeah. And they know that they have faced a lot of trickery from governments. I mean, there's the Tuskegee incident, where the government essentially injected syphilis on a group of black people just to make sure that they were safe, or it was just to keep them safe. And, they've been victim to abuse time and time again. Therefore, they tend to be a bit more weary of believing what the government is telling them. Not that, the government have anything naughty that they're doing now in relation to the juice and whatnot, but yeah, somehow Ice Cube does not seem like a Momo to me. And what's more, he does not seem like someone that is willing to follow the meh. This guy's a fucking lion. He's a fucking beast. I mean, just look at that guy's face. Does that guy look like some guy that is going to listen to what people tell him to do? Hell no. Oh, hell no. Strings enough. That was the title of the film that he'd been working on. And apparently he'd been on set for quite a number of months. And then someone on set asked him, oh my God, you've gotten the juice, right? And he's like, oh, hell no. Well, I don't think he actually said that, but he gave an answer. Obviously, that was not consistent with the narrative, and he's been kicked off. And this is what's happening to a lot of the actors, a lot of the people in the entertainment industry right now. It's going to be very difficult to work unless, of course, you bow down to these mandates. But yours truly, for one, is find a way around it. I mean, look, I want to be clear. Look, I've done the right thing. I'm a trans-vaccide. But look, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to say this. Look, we need to start supporting people that stand up against tyranny like this. Like Ice Cube, I want you guys to go and give him a follow if you've not done so already, and give him some support. Because the more and more we can embolden figures like this to stand up against the narrative, the more and more it's going to become unpopular for businesses, these entertainment groups and so forth, to go ahead with the nonsense and to try to coerce people into doing things that go against their judgment. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, I'm going to leave it there. Remember to illuminate your minds with wisdom, strengthen your will with love, purge all negative thought patterns from your existence. Remember, there are 3 things that cannot remain hidden for long. Oh, and be sure to check out the recent podcast I did with the lovely Sabrina Vachon. She is a voice artist, performer on season 3 of The Voice. I met her on The Voice a few years back, and she's a very conscious lash. She knows what's up, yo. That is now on Odyssey. It will be up on the main channel in another week, and you can check that out on iTunes, Spotify. You know the drill. Be sure to tell your mom, tell your friends. Peace out, keep it real, and hold the line, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, there is always a way. If you guys need some information, or you just need someone to talk to, perhaps a group of like-minded people, check us out on the Telegram. I got a group there you can check out. Be sure to pay this forward, get the word out there, and remember that this battle, as dark as it may seem, will be won. We will win in the end. And those that have perpetrated these violent acts on the citizens of this planet, fellow Earthlings, will pay justice. Peace out, keep it real, don't drive and text. Suri Namaskara, namaste. Ow!
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet?
What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community?
There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.